Hi, my name is Janet and welcome to 365 Inspired Yoga Classes. Today is day 46 and we are going through a series of examining the energy centers in your body called the chakras. And today we arrive at the heart chakra, Anahata. Its element is air and it bridges the lower chakras, which are earth, water, and fire, and pertain to our physical existence, with the higher chakras that are more about our spiritual existence. So the heart chakra is called Anahata, and it is located where your physical heart is, and it is the chakra of unconditional love. When we think about love, we might think about our lover or sexual love, and that actually happens down there in the more physical realm. But I'm thinking of a love that you feel for your planet, for your pets, for your children, and even that unconditional love I hope you feel for your lover or your special person that you share your life with. If by chance you're going through some sort of a breakup, this might be an area that is really tender right now. And I ask that you practice unconditional love for yourself and do this slow, gentle, more of a yin yoga class with a willingness to back off if it's really a little too much. And also an opportunity for you to be open to healing, a willingness to heal a little bit of heartbreak or a whole lot of heartache, if that's what you're working with today. So I'm seated right now on a blanket, and I would recommend that you get a blanket because yin yoga might require a little bit of padding for your body. And also, if you have them, a block or maybe two. Set my strap aside. I don't think we're going to use that. All right, so we'll start seated on our yoga mat and try to sit toward the front of a blanket if you're sitting on that, or the front of the block, so that your pelvis tilts a little bit, and that helps you to get that natural arch in your spine and enables you to sit up really tall. From here, let's circle the arms up overhead, bring your palms to touch above you, and as you breathe out, bring your hands down to your heart. Do that again with me. Breathe in, circle your arms high overhead. Exhale, bring your hands back down to your heart space. One more time. Inhale, sweep your arms high. And exhale, bring your hands down to your heart space. Press your thumb knuckles against your breastbone and maybe make little circles with your knuckles, stimulating the breastbone, that space where your heart chakra is spinning. And then come to stillness. Look down at your hands. Your hands are an extension of your heart chakra. It only makes sense when we're hurting. We place our hands wherever our body hurts. If someone else is hurting, we automatically reach out and pull them close to our heart. So take this moment, maybe eyes are closed or gazing down at your fingers, to dedicate your practice to someone you love unconditionally. Think about that special someone. I have two granddaughters, Avery and Piper, and I love them unconditionally, and I'm just going to dedicate my practice today to the love that I feel for my granddaughters. Who's in your heart and on your mind today? Who do you love? Take a deep breath in and feel your heart space expand as you breathe in, and then slowly, gently allow the breath to flow out. Breathe in deeply. Feel how your lungs wrap around your heart, protecting, loving, exchanging energy and oxygen. And then open your mouth and slowly let the breath out. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in that feeling of unconditional love, visualizing those sweet someones that you're dedicating your practice to today. And then open your mouth and breathe out. Now seal your lips and just allow your breath to flow naturally and gently. Open your eyes up and place your hands down on your knees or thighs. Roll your shoulders down and back. Begin to lift your gaze up and just let your heart space open up. Let's just take a few breaths here. Just feeling the stretch in the front of your neck. Good. And then bring your spine back to neutral. And let's take this into a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to ask you to take your arms out wide. Turn your left thumb down, reach your left arm behind your back, and see if you can bring the right elbow toward the left palm back there. Can you feel that stretch? Bringing your right hand forward, maybe even your right hand comes to resting on your belly. And what I want you to notice is the stretch in your left shoulder and in your left arm. And as we hold this stretch for about 1 minute, let me share with you just a little bit about the style of yoga we're doing here on day 46 of the 365 Inspired Yoga classes. And the practice I mentioned is called Yin Yoga. In Yin Yoga, we have 3 principles that we follow. One of them is to find the appropriate edge where you feel the stretch. Like I'm feeling a pretty good stretch in my left shoulder. You are halfway there, so hang on if you can. The second is the element of time. So we're gonna hold the posture for a specific length of time. And for this pose, the time is just 1 minute. So just stay with it. And then the third principle that I want you to bring to mind is to find stillness. So when you find that appropriate edge, just hold there and stay still. We have 10 seconds longer to hold this stretch for the left shoulder. And opening the shoulders helps to open the heart. And now we're ready to release. So the right palm will reach out, the left hand will reach out, and they'll come out to the sides. Good, and then we're gonna turn our right thumb down, reach behind our back with the right hand, draw the left elbow toward the right palm, just like that, and bring your left hand forward. So we'll hold this for 1 minute. Find your appropriate edge, find stillness there, and we'll hold for a length of time. When we practice Yin Yoga, we start to get into what's called the connective tissue or the fascia of the body. The fascia connective tissue is what gives the muscles and organs of our body their shape. It holds the muscles into place. But when we work our body really hard, which we sure did yesterday, if you practiced with me yesterday, and we did the Manipura, the fire energy, the strength energy, we are halfway, so stay with me, hold still if you can. When we work our muscles tight, they get kind of sore, and maybe the fascia kind of bulks up. And here we are, we're just taking some time to stretch it out. We had about 10 seconds left, so stay with me. And the length of time in the poses is anywhere from 1 minute to as long as 10 minutes. We won't hold any poses 10 minutes today, but we will hold some for a minute or 2 and maybe even 3. All right, we're there. So we're just gonna slowly release, releasing the body all the way back out. Now we're gonna take a counter stretch by wrapping our arms around our body and just giving yourself a little hug. I want you to hold yourself here, drop your chin to your chest, round the spine, and just take notice which of your arms is on top. For me, it's the left, and that's okay. We're just giving our back a little counter stretch. How does that feel in your back? We'll hold just 1 minute, not too long, but while you're holding here, hugging yourself, let me ask you to think about something about you that you love. Maybe you just love something about your appearance, your beautiful eyes. Maybe it's something more personal, like you have a really beautiful spirit, or you make a great partner in life, or you're a good friend, a good listener. You're halfway there. For these next 30 seconds, close your eyes and notice that good thing about yourself. And how does your back feel here as we're rounding the spine and stretching? Bring your awareness to your breath and let it flow nice and easy. Last 10 seconds here. And then begin to open your eyes, sit up nice and tall. Now remember which arm is on top, sweep your arms out wide and take the other arm on top. So you're gonna give yourself another hug. Just take your hands and just pat yourself on the back. And pat yourself on the back for showing up on your yoga mat today. There's so much in life that can really get in the way. We're gonna hold this 1 minute again. So as you hold this embrace, round your spine, chin to chest, and just giving yourself some love and appreciating yourself. Appreciate that you showed up for yourself today, that you loved yourself enough to show up on your yoga mat. And as you hold here, pay attention to your breathing. So Yin Yoga is the opposite of Yang Yoga. We did Yang Yoga yesterday. That was a fast flowing practice with lots of strengthening. We really got our heart rate up. We got our fire going. And Yin Yoga that we're doing today, we're really slowing the heart rate, slowing the body, enjoying the stretch. Stay with me, let me check the time. Okay, we've got 10 seconds longer. Just breathing and appreciating and loving ourselves as we are, perfectly imperfect. Unconditional love for the self today. Start to grow nice and tall. Release your arms out like the letter T. Turn your thumbs down. Bring your hands behind your back. Interlace them at your tail as best you can. Send your thumb knuckles to the earth And squeeze your shoulder blades together. Good. Now lift your gaze up, looking up. Yes. So we're going to just take this heart opening stretch for 1 full minute, just feeling your heart space open, arching your spine, pressing your chest forward, add on, lift your head up. So as you hold this space, feel your heart stretch open. If you're working through some heartbreak, this may be a challenge for you. And I apologize if that's difficult for you. You can soften out of it, or I like to encourage you to stay with it. A lot of times that we have these heartbreaks, we learn something about ourselves, and we're able to redefine what we need in our life. So maybe as you take some time to write in a journal or to think about what you need to heal your loving heart, to practice self-love and self-care today, you might bring to mind something you could do. Take a nice warm bath, enjoy a sweet treat. What could you do to love yourself today if your heart is hurting? Let's take another 2 breaths, just relaxing with the head dropping back and the heart space opening up. And then come up to a tall and neutral spine, releasing your hands. So we're going to shift a little bit here, bringing our feet in front of us. Take your feet as wide as the width of your mat, leaning your hands behind you. Rock your legs gently side to side, just loosening up the hips. When our heart is hurting and relationship issues are a challenge, we often hold that discomfort in our hips. So this next segment of postures will start to work the hips open. And once the hips feel stretched out and easy, we'll combine the heart opener with a hip opener. So you can remain sitting on your blanket if you like, or you can take the blanket out as we come to butterfly pose. The bottoms of the feet are connected and the knees are falling open. It's okay to prop your knees up with your blocks if you need to, or leaving the blocks aside. Draw your heels in close to your groin. I want you to reach down and give the arches of your feet a little extra loving kindness. As you dig around in the bottoms of your feet, you may come across a little lump or a stringy kind of a feeling. And what you might be getting into is the fascia in the bottoms of your feet. There's fascia underneath the skin across the bottoms of your feet. You might have heard of plantar fasciitis. That can happen if you do a lot of things like tennis and running and things like that, hiking, and the bottoms of your feet get little knots or sore. And so that's a good example of where yin yoga helps. So all you would do is you come to that sore spot, you dig your thumbs in, and you just hold there. And there might be a slight burning feeling as we begin to release the fascia. And if we hold for 30 seconds, the burning feeling or the resistance begins to melt away, and we're able to release the fascia as fabric of your body, and it might start to go, it might maybe ease out. So as you hold the bottoms of your feet, we'll add more of a hip opener to the stretch. If it feels right for you, you could lean forward. You can use your elbows to push your knees wide. Now you've already been here with your knees open like this for 1 minute. We'll take this posture 1 more full minute. So start to lean into it just a little bit more if you can. Do you notice that light sort of tingling or even heat feeling somewhere in the inner thighs or in the hips? So that's maybe a release of some of the fascia. Another important thing about fascia is it provides a fabric for the neurons, the nervous system to travel through. So your nervous system attached to the fascia, and that means that when you say touch your toes, through the skin and all the way to the fascia, a message goes all the way to your brain, and you say, I'm touching my toes. It tickles or it feels good. You're halfway through this second minute, so stay with me if you can. As you stay in a pose, you find that place of stillness, but you may find that your body is softened and you can go a little bit deeper. So if you're feeling it, take these last few seconds to deepen the stretch. Good. And then slowly begin to come up. Bring your hands to the outside of your knees and begin to draw your knees up. We're going to separate the feet just a little bit again, leaning back, and windshield wiper your feet gently side to side. So there's a nice release. Good. We're going to change positions here and come into a tabletop position. And as you come to tabletop, because we're practicing yin and it's fairly gentle today, you might decide to invite a little softness, a little kindness by bringing a blanket beneath your knees and hands. So if you unfold your blanket and place it there, you might find that you have a little tenderness in your wrists. If that's the case, you can roll up the blanket and kind of soften the hands on the mat even more. So from this position, I want you to take your right foot to the back of the mat and push the heel back and just hold that stretch. Can you feel the back of your leg? You're stretching the fascia in the back of your leg and all the way down through the arch of your foot. Now, this is a bit of work for the arms, so adjust your arms as needed. You can even come down to your forearms. I had a student once with a lot of arthritis in the wrists, and it just wasn't possible to stay on her wrists or her hands for 1 minute like this. So if that's your case, if that's your body today, then be loving and kind and come down to the forearms or add blocks, whatever you need to do. We're already halfway. We got another 30 seconds here, stretching out the right hamstring, the back of the right leg, and the fascia in the back of the right leg. Check in with your breathing. Just notice that your body is breathing gently. The yin type of breathing is just very natural. Yin is in essence a letting go. Yang is forced breathing, ujjayi breathing and forced exhalations, etc. And here in yin yoga, we're just letting the breath flow in a very passive yin way. Okay, last 5 seconds with this stretch. Good. And then shift forward and take your right leg, bending the right knee. See if you can bring your right foot around and forward. Now here, your blocks will come in handy as we begin to open into the right hip. You want your right foot forward of your knee so that we don't do any undue strain on the knees. And boy, I'm loving the blanket beneath my knee for this. So we're going to start to lean forward, and then maybe you can lower down to your forearms here. As you need to, you might allow your right knee to fall away from you, or another adjustment that I like to do is on the back left foot to curl my toes under. It helps to make my knee feel a little more stable and takes any undue strain out of the knee. So we're going to hold this stretch, and for some of you, you might find you need to be up on your palms. Others might need to take the blocks higher. Sort of experiment till you find your edge. I'm pretty open in my hips today. So for my edge, I can come all the way down to my forearms. And I'm really feeling the stretch, not only in the front of my left hip, but I'm feeling it all through my right hip area there as well. So we are about halfway, a little more than halfway there. Can you hang in there with me for another 20 seconds? We're getting to that peak posture of a combination of hip opening and heart opening. Last couple seconds here, check in, breathe gently. And then we'll move through this slowly, coming up to the palms, toe heel your right foot across the mat. And then we're gonna bring, this is called Swan in yin yoga, or pigeon in other styles of yoga. We're gonna bring the right heel to the left hip crease, right there in the front. Good. It's almost like near the pubic bone, between the pubic bone and the hip bone, that little space there. And then that it is possible that you might need to put a block underneath your right hip, because in this posture, we're going to try to sit up, and the left foot is pointed and it's going straight back there. Good. So this is Swan. The hips are getting a good stretch, and my back is getting a big heart opening arch. My arms are actually working, my hands are working to hold my body upright so that I can get a big stretch through my body. So when we do yin yoga, sometimes parts of the body work while the other parts stay relaxed. How are you feeling here? Stay with it if you can. You can always play around with bringing props beneath your palms if you need a little bit more support, or lowering forward if that seems better for you. Keeping track of time here, trying to square the shoulders forward, pull the right hip back, left hip shifts forward slightly. We're just going to stay with it. Continue to focus on opening up, opening your heart, feeling that energy of unconditional love. And also noticing the air is moving around you. You're surrounded and encased and embraced by the air in the room. Your breath is taking in what it needs, and as you breathe out, we're releasing what we don't need. We're almost there. We've got about 10 seconds longer here. Just noticing how it's feeling in your body. Really good. Nice. once you come out, it's time to come out, we'll start to shift up into tabletop. So just make some adjustments here so you're back in your tabletop position. And we'll begin with that hamstring stretch. So taking the left foot to the back of the mat with the toes curled under and simply pushing the left heel back. And we'll hold this position for 1 full minute, just giving the back of the left leg a nice, easy stretch, really opening up here. Maybe you just take notice without judging that your left leg feels a little tighter than the right did, or maybe it's hard to tell the difference. Maybe it's a little looser. There's no judgment. You're just kind of learning about your body here as we take it slow. And a lot of times I think we focus on what's wrong with our body, and in yoga we learn to love our body and appreciate it. It's really quite miraculous. So I hope this practice has you really feeling yourself, feeling your body, feeling that sense of love for yourself. Now we've got another 20 seconds here. So just holding strong here, just a little bit longer, looking good, feeling really good. Last 10 seconds. Getting a nice heart opener with a back bend soon. Okay, so we're gonna shift forward. Take the left leg out to the side, bending the left knee. Start to sweep it forward to the upper left corner of the mat. Remembering if you use blocks for this, and I did to start and then I kind of went deeper. And remembering also in this stretch that your knee is behind your ankle. And as you start to push forward, you might notice I like to curl my toes under back there. It just makes the knee that's supporting me back there feel more stable, more comfortable. Play around with these things. Get to know your body, what do you need. Now as you start to descend into the posture, you might come down to your forearms. We're gonna hold 1 minute here. And for me, I took the blocks out on the first side, so even though I feel tighter on my left side, I'm gonna try to balance both sides of my body out by doing the same posture. And if it's just not happening, I'll come back up onto the blocks. So as I come down here, I'll let my left knee fall open just a little bit. And checking in, just breathing, I'm playing my edge. I'm finding that edge where I feel a little intensity to the pose, but I'm not experiencing pain. In the lower body where I'm getting the stretch in the front of my right hip and in my left hip, I'm just trying to surrender to that stretch and find stillness in that part of my body. So I'm just gonna hold still here. And then the third principle we're working with here is time. And we are, check my clock, we're halfway there. A little more than halfway there, so stay with it if you can. We got about 20 seconds left here. Noticing your breath and keeping a yin attitude. Yin is considered the feminine aspect, more passive, a little more gentle. Rather than being aggressive, we're being gentle and loving and practicing the heart chakra, unconditional love. Good. Okay, we are there. Making your way back up onto your palms, we're gonna toe heel the left foot across the mat, bringing the left heel down toward the pelvis, right there by the hip bone and the pubic bone. Between the two, there's that little added space, and that gives a nice little pressure there. And for this swan pose, I will bring my hands back and bring in a little back bend here, pulling my left hip back and my right hip forward. And remember, we're holding for a specific length of time. And the time that we held on the first side was 1 full minute. So whatever you need to do, if you need to add a block underneath so you can hold out there, maybe have blocks underneath your hands if it's hard to stay in this position upright. You could surrender forward if you'd like, or really work the back bend, the heart opening combined with the hip opening aspects of this yin posture. And guess what? We're halfway there, so see if you can stay with it just a little bit longer. Really keeping your heart open. Keep breathing. Good. Opening up the heart, gently, loving, kind, compassion. Sometimes when I get into the hips and open like this, combined with the heart, I find myself crying, and that's okay. Hopefully you've got some tissues nearby if you need a good cry. Just let it flow out. Let life flow through you and feel your breath flow. Oh, we're almost there. Last 15 seconds. Feels good to really open up. And if it's not feeling good, you're pushing too hard, it's not a yin attitude, so come out of it if you need to. Oh, good. Last 5 seconds. move slowly, coming back into tabletop position. So from tabletop position, we're going to shift forward onto our tummy and take ourselves into a few yin back bends. And the first one is called Sphinx. Think of the Sphinx in Egypt. Leave your feet separated about hip distance apart and slide your palms forward so your elbows align beneath your shoulders. Reach across and touch your top opposite elbow to make sure that your elbows are aligned beneath your shoulders, and then bring your palms forward. Press your belly forward, roll your shoulders down and back, and look forward. So this is Sphinx Pose. It's a pretty dynamic stretch here. We'll hold for 1 full minute to really work the posture. You can feel the upper arms are working a bit, but I want you to try to relax your buns, relax your butt, relax your thighs, relax your back, relax your belly. Work it through the arms as you gaze forward. Press your chest between your biceps. Good. Now check in with your yin breathing. It's easy, it's gentle. If this is too much, come out of it early. You are already halfway, 30 seconds to go. We're only holding these back bends for 1 minute. I've got 2 back bends for you, 2 yin back bends. Keep breathing, almost there. Let's take a peek. Okay, last 10 seconds. I'm feeling it in my arms a little bit, but my tummy is getting a good stretch, and my back is getting a nice arch, and my heart is feeling open. Okay, now that we're there, we're going to release the lower back by opening the elbows wide. Stack your palms one on top of the other, and rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Bend your knees, flex your feet, and windshield wiper your feet side to side. And you feel a gentle release for your back. Now, before we come to the next one, it's called Seal Pose. I want you to lay your feet down and separate your feet wider than your mat with your toes turned out and your heels drop in. Then lift your head up and place your palms as wide as the width of your mat. Now, if you're pretty flexible, back your hands up close to your chest. If you're really tight in back bends, move your palms forward toward the upper corners of your mat. You can even come down and readjust if you're not sure. Just kind of find a starting place. Push up. So you almost lock out the arms, so the arms are strong and straight. And my feet, you can see, are turned out with the heels in and the toes out. And this is really strong. It's strong for the arms. So if you need to come out of it early, do so. You can feel your pubic bone on the mat, but your belly is lifted. Your shoulders roll down away from your ears. We're holding only 1 minute, and I know it's a strong pose, and I know it's a hard thing to do, but try to stay with it if you can. Press your heart forward and lift your gaze up. Good, you're already halfway. It's pretty intense, I know, but if you need to come out early, please feel free to do so, or stay with it just a little bit longer. There is another layer to this posture. If you feel like you want more, you can lift your head up, bend your knees, bring your big toes together to touch, and then take your toes toward the top of your head. Good. Oh, checking the time. Last 15 seconds. How's the breath? Keep it flowing. Nice and easy. Big heart opener. Good. And then we're going to release slowly by lowering the legs. Bring the head to neutral. Losing arm strength. Lower it down. Place your palms one on top of the other. Place your forehead on the back of your hands. Bend your knees and windshield wiper your feet side to side to release the lower back. Good, and then from here we'll push up into tabletop onto the hands and knees. So let me ask you to kind of crawl forward and come to a kneeling position on your mat. You're sitting on your feet. Bring your hands to your thighs and roll your shoulders down and back. This is Hero Pose. Hero Pose reminds us that we are heroic for showing up for love, for showing up in life. We're going to finish up with a supported fish pose, one more heart opener, and basically it's a version of Shavasana, reclining on your back. And if you'd like to give it a try, I will take my blocks. I'm going to do it facing this way today, and I'm going to take my blocks into a little more challenging fish pose. So the block here you can see is on its second highest setting, and I'm going to allow my head to fall back, so that block's going to be a little lower. I'm going to come and turn my back to the blocks, and as I come down, I want to align the lower edge of that block with my bra strap. For gentlemen, it's just below the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And then you let your head drop back. Now, if this is too much for your neck, you pick up your head and move the block up. You can even move this block flatter so it's less big. And I want you to decide what feels best for you. And then with your legs, you can take a hip opener by bringing the bottoms of your feet to touch and allow your knees to fall open. Turn your palms open, and the higher you raise your arms, the more stretch you're gonna feel through your heart space. So you decide what feels best for you. And maybe you close your eyes and bring to mind that sweet someone that you love unconditionally. For me, it's my granddaughters Avery and Piper today, just really on my mind and in my heart today. So I'm feeling that unconditional love for them. And then let me leave you with this quote I found on Pinterest, and it's, we come to love not by finding the perfect person, but by learning to see an imperfect person perfectly. And I hope you can find love with an imperfect person yourself and feel that loving yourself, your imperfect self, you're perfectly imperfect. Namaste, and thank you for sharing your practice with me today.